Hey, do you like movies? We all like movies. You like movies? I like movies. My brother likes movies. Everyone likes movies. Let's do some stuff with some movies, okay? Let's just, how about, let's just...
That's...
What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. That means it is time for the tagline. We are the Cinefanatics. My name is Robert Adams.
My name is Death.
Oh, you don't look like William Sadler to me. With a bunch of makeup on in a weird Swedish accent for some weird reason.
I feel like it, though. Oh,
Yeah.
My name's Chris Adams. It's right there. You know.
Yeah. So, welcome, y'all, to the Cinefanatics. We're here to talk movies, like I said in the intro. We don't have very much movie news, really, to go off of tonight, so...
High Energy Natics.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in a minute. Those of y'all that are watching, thank y'all for watching right here at the top of the show. We appreciate you being here with us. I know there's a lot of streamers going on right now. We're still in a pandemic world where everyone wants to stream and get their thoughts out, so we very much appreciate the fact that you are here watching with us. It means the world to us.
I do. That's why I'm still doing the show right now.
Yeah. If y'all have any questions, make sure to drop questions in the chat and stuff we're watching. Make sure y'all subscribe to the Cinefanatics. Again, that's something I don't typically say, but as a YouTuber, apparently you're supposed to mention that at the top of the show.
Sub to the thing.
Yeah, sub to the thing and whatnot. There's also the Streamlabs that's up there above his head. I believe there's also a link down in the description, possibly. Did you put that in there? Yes, there is. So in the description, there's also the Streamlabs, so you can drop questions and anything you want to drop with numbers in it. You can do it there too. Also, make sure you follow us all on patreon.com/cinefanatics. We will talk more about that in a little while. So, right off the bat, you.
Hi, that's me.
Not feeling too well, huh?
Now I feel
Frickin-tastic, yeah. Substitute that frickin' for a word that you would typically use to describe how fan-frickin-tastic you would feel.
Flogging.
Flogging Molly? It's because of you enjoying the Tony Hawk Pro Skater that now I've got Flogging Molly's whiskey lullaby stuck in my head.
I honestly really wish I could play the 1 and 2, but I don't have any of the modern gaming systems.
Apparently 4 is coming back out. Like they're re-releasing like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 with like updated graphics and stuff. I don't know if it's going like on the Switch or PlayStation 8, whatever PlayStation we're up to right now.
I really believe that's a thing.
Yeah, I believe it is. Anyways, this isn't the Video Game Fanatics, because...
That's another channel that we can't do right now.
Yeah. I don't play video games, so I really can't talk upon that.
Again, I can't afford modern video game systems, so...
Yeah. So, yeah, you've been a little out of it lately. Those of y'all who are familiar with us, y'all know he's had, like, some kind of, like, weird vertigo thing, seemingly stemming from a car accident.
Yeah, car accident I was in 2 years ago. It's definitely from that. But I've gotten into some like situations or positions I get in every now and then. The world starts spinning around me. It really sucks because you're not like physically ill or sick or anything. It's just you're completely incapacitated because you can't move or do anything because literally everything you're seeing is... Yeah. I haven't gotten that yet, but the past few days I've been like tipping on the point if I didn't keep my self stretched out, and whatnot. So I'm in a position where I've been like seeing a chiropractor for it. And I know this is a movie news show and we talk about movie news and stuff, but you're getting a little piece of us personally here right at the top.
Well, we have to have something to give our personal people want to know about us.
Well, it's true, and this is kind of our flagship show on this channel, so this is the main way to get to know about us. Anyway, I'm seeing a chiropractor pretty much every week for it. The problem is that like I do essentially grocery delivery right now as pretty much my only source of income, as I can't get any video production work right now just because nobody's hiring for wanting to shoot videos or anything for their business, and nobody can afford it because, hey, pandemic, cool. So the fact that this is happening right now, that I'm on this point where this chiropractor stuff has been kind of keeping it at bay for a while, but it's happening still anyway, despite my going every week. I'm in the position now where I pretty much need to go twice a week if I want to kind of get ahead of it again, which is a huge financial bummer because, again, I'm only doing grocery delivery, and I don't like to mention the name of the company I'm doing it with.
Because they're not paying us. And
there's that, and honestly, like, you could probably figure it out if you really think about how many different companies are out there doing grocery delivery. But yeah, they flat out just don't pay enough, and so I'm kind of backed into a corner right now. And this is not like a hey, feel sorry for the Cinefanatics stream, because we are gonna get into like movies, and we did get to see some of these home stream releases that they put out there, which is gonna be fun to talk about. But until then, like, this is why, like, the last few days I haven't felt great. We did the Schmodown thing with Bibiani last night, and that was a blast being able to hang out with him, but I was feeling completely terrible the entire time.
Yeah.
So
needless to say, I was wanting to bring this up. So those of y'all that are able to throw something into, like, say, the Super Chat, the Streamlabs, anything, I want donations to go towards this. Because he is going to have to go see a chiropractor multiple times a week, and it's just not paying enough. So if there's anything any of y'all can do to kind of help him out on this, please throw that. Like, any donations.
If you can't, you can't. Don't worry about it. It's
yeah,
fine,
but any donations, anything someone could throw in, please throw that into those options so we can get that.
I'm not out here trying to, like, guilt trip people into, like, giving to my situation.
But you're definitely in a very real situation that, unfortunately, it's going to put you, like, into a catch-22, in that you need to work to pay off, like, being able to go see a doctor, but at the same time, you can't work because you don't want someone who's essentially drunk with no alcohol driving a vehicle around delivering you your food.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest. I've driven with vertigo.
It's not.
I never want to do that ever again. That was terrifying.
Yeah.
But I was in a position where I had no choice. It hit me while I was driving, and I just had to get home.
So throughout this,
Awful.
I might make mention this again. Those of y'all that are able to, please throw something into the Streamlabs Super Chat. Anything you could do to kind of help out this situation. None of the money, like, we still even have money sitting in there right now. For the most part, I'm probably not going to have us split the money that we typically do, because I've been in my job that's been essential this whole time. I'm fine. You need to get stuff taken care of. So money that's already sitting there, anything else y'all could throw in, that's where it's going to right now. So if anyone could please help out with that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, honestly, like, every dollar, I really appreciate anything. So it's, again, not saying this to, like, guilt trip people. If you honestly can't, don't feel like you have to. So
but otherwise, moving on. So have you watched anything lately? Anything new this past week? I mean, other than the movies I know we're going to talk about here in a little bit.
No.
Okay. So I know
life has been hectic.
Here's the thing. I know I've fallen a bit behind on my Letterboxd, and I kind of caught up a little bit with what I could remember.
I've never been ahead on mine.
Yeah. So I know there's a couple of movies that I finally have caught on to seeing. The other night I watched The Outsiders for the first time. That was a fantastic movie. So I caught up on that. And I couldn't remember if I had watched Cop Out before. I know everyone who's watched this channel, they know I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. Could have sworn I've seen this movie, but I went ahead and rewatched it because it popped up on HBO Max, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't know if I have actually ever watched this.
Have you seen Cop Out before? No.
No.
Hell no. No.
So I watched that, and yeah, not a huge fan of that movie. But I understand why, is because that was a script that was like a blacklisted script that was passed around Hollywood for a while.
Apparently neither is Bruce Willis. He's not a fan either.
Yeah, well, I can see why. Kevin Smith did not write the script like he does the rest of his movies, so therefore that would explain why there's a decline in Kevin Smith quality to that movie, but it still had some funny moments.
It's saved for somewhat by Tracy Morgan and Tracy Morgan-ness.
There's definitely some pieces you could kind of see where Kevin Smith did try to tweak it, where like Tracy Morgan's character, they reference movies a lot in that.
Of course.
And I believe that's where you get that Kevin Smith-ness from.
Exactly.
The other one I caught up on over this past week, which was a weird one, was the Slumber Party Massacre.
That sounds horrible.
It does.
That just sounds like an awful.
It does.
anything.
It does sound like one. And I remember seeing the cover of this where it was just a bunch of co-eds, and there's like some killer that has like a pneumatic drill or whatever. And I remember looking at this going, yeah, this is just like a straight up like schlocky, like not even B-list horror movie. This is just a reason to kill off a bunch of co-eds and show them all naked. And for the most part,
classic cinema.
That is in there. But there actually is, like, I've refrained from watching it for so long just because I was like I want something with substance. And then it was recommended to me, and I was like, all right, I will give it a shot. I will sacrifice watching these naked co-eds get murdered in a movie for the pleasure of being able to speak upon movies.
Hey, you know...
and you know what? Here's the thing. It actually is a good movie.
I will never see that for the pleasure of being able to speak upon good cinema.
It actually was a really good movie. Like, I was surprised. It had a really good story to it. Very well done.
No judgment for those who enjoy those kinds of movies, because otherwise I'd be spending all my days judging this fool over here. But judgment on the cinema itself, it's not my cup of tea, so...
Yeah. It was good. It was a fun movie. Had a really good story. I thought it held everything together very well. You actually, like, I cared about the characters in this. I was actually able to follow along, like, their names and stuff. Sometimes when you get some of these movies that are so, like, low quality...
I don't think you know what the word care means.
Well, no, I mean, like, I care enough to, like, I remember their names and stuff. Again, horror movies, especially like this kind where you have, like, a group of people that are all getting killed off, some of them you just don't remember their names. Like, I've seen the original Halloween multiple times. I can't remember any characters' names, really, except for Laurie, Annie, and Tommy, right off the top of my head. And, of course, Michael Myers, The Shape, whatever. But when you get, like, an ensemble group like that of actors, some of them you just don't know, you don't remember what their characters' names are, and it was like this one I was able to follow through. So, and I'm speaking way more than I wanted to about the Slumber Party Massacre movie, so let's move on from there.
I didn't know you were clicking on this channel tonight to hear all about Slumber Party
No,
Massacre.
You thought you were going to hear about our review of Mulan and Bill and Ted. Haha,
Gotcha.
Slumber Party Massacre.
Gotcha.
Clickbaited you with the Mulan and the Bill and Ted to tell you about Slumber Party Massacre.
For the Bill and Ted and Mulan, stay for the Slumber Party Massacre.
Anyways.
Sorry, what was that? Yeah, there it is. All right, got it.
Yeah, so once again, those of y'all that know, I've got this like little toy that I've been playing with, and I finally figured out how to, I guess, get some sound effects on there. So I've been playing around with it. So hopefully y'all are able to hear the sound effects this time, because I've been able to add some. And you know what that means? That means these sound effects are quite
excellent.
Oh yeah.
Wait, do that again.
Excellent.
That worked pretty well.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm glad
so,
I can barely hear that.
Oh, we can hear it out of the
headphones.
Out of the headphones over here. That's acting as like a little speaker type of thing. So, yeah, that's other than the movies that again we'll talk about here in a little bit. That's pretty much what I've caught up on. So. Also, those of y'all that are familiar, Tuesday night, this is 2-Stream Tuesday. You okay?
What? No, I'm fine.
No, you're not.
No.
This is 2-Stream Tuesday, which means directly after this, we will be doing our Schmodown replay, which looks like that.
That's exactly what it looks. The whole stream.
The whole stream
like
is
that.
just the logo, and that's all there is just the logo for it. So tonight is going to be Paul Oyama versus Marisol McKee, and we will also be discussing briefly, I would say the teams that were announced tonight for the Schmodown Teams Tournament that's going to be coming up. So we will be doing that. Make sure you join us. That's going to be in roughly almost exactly 1 hour from right now.
Definitely some good talks happening because there's some surprise teams in there that are going to be really interesting to see play.
Oh, yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure y'all stay with us all through this. Again, we'll take like a 15-minute break.
We're streaming all night long. I'm never going to sleep tonight. We're just going to keep going until my eyes fall out of my face.
Yeah. So real quick going into here, Garth is telling us about Death. Here's the thing. I could have sworn I've heard of something like this before. That they copied Death from Bogus Journey off of the Swedish movie The Seventh Seal. Death plays chess with Max von Sydow. And that explains why Death plays games with Bill and Ted. Here's the thing, like
That's clever.
I love this setup for us to stream, but I really miss the ability to click on like people's comments and then have it like kind of pop up there at the bottom of it, like you can in StreamYard. Yeah. I kind of miss that because I want to like, hey Garth, I want to click your comment. Anyways, that was Garth McMurray in the comments that made that comment.
Those of you listening on audio, just it was in the comments of our live video. Watch us live.
Yeah. Let's see. Garth also says, sorry about your vertigo problems. I've heard the talk, but couldn't comment at the time. Yeah.
Yep.
And Lori Strode, yes. Tyler saying, love the soundbite.
Excellent.
Excellent.
That has to stay in there.
I
know we're talking about Bill and Ted tonight, but that has to stay in there.
I might keep that. So yeah, if we happen to find like any good like sound bites, something I might add to it.
Or at the very least, just keep the guitar part. You don't have to keep the excellent necessarily.
Well, I feel like you need the excellent to signify.
What instrument is this that I'm playing right here?
It's the air ukulele.
I don't even know if that's a ukulele.
Well, Tiny Tim would.
What's that instrument that Ted was playing at the wedding at the beginning?
The theremin.
Theremin, yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird instrument.
Is that what I'm playing? The air theremin?
No, the theremin, you have to kind of like wave your hand. You have one hand goes up and down while the other one moves back and forth essentially. So you're basically, your hands are essentially a line graph.
Wait, so the theremin is already an air instrument?
Yes.
So an air theremin is just redundant.
Yes.
Welcome to Instrument Fanatics.
Let's see. So that was we kind of got on a tangent there with that, but
That's related.
Yeah, going into some movie news. Here the downside to this is today is the 8th. Tomorrow they will be releasing a okay.
That's not what that face is for.
Tomorrow they will be releasing the full trailer for Dune. Yeah, so far, if you've seen Tenet, they had like the trailer of the trailer attached to Tenet, so we saw that.
It's so sandy.
Yeah. So we saw that, and then I guess they released like another like 3-second clip today about it, and then the fact that the full trailer comes out tomorrow.
I saw a 3-second clip about Jason Momoa taking his glove off.
Oh, is that what it was?
These are promo pieces, everybody. Hey, you're going to want to see Dune. Jason Momoa is taking his glove off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right.
You didn't see him wear gloves in Aquaman, did you? I don't know.
He did.
Yeah, he wore gloves like a
He did when he turned into like the gold thing, when the gold costume towards the end.
His classic costume. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this movie, he takes the gloves off instead of putting them on.
Oh.
I'm so excited for Dune now.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you.
We get some of that sexy Jason Momoa.
Glove removal.
Idaho. What's his name? Idaho Dallas.
Yeah, Idaho potato.
It's like Idaho Duncan.
Duncan, Idaho. Or
Duncan, Idaho.
His name is Jason Idaho Potato Momoa.
Some sexy potatoes right there.
It's a potato.
Yeah, I want some potatoes for dinner now.
This stream is off the rails.
Anyway, so that trailer comes out tomorrow. We will be doing a trailer reaction to that. It will probably be tomorrow night after I get off and after the replay.
We can see part of it already before Tenet, like you were saying earlier. So we've seen a piece of the trailer, I guess. But I would also assume that everyone's seen a piece of the trailer now since they've released the trailer for the trailer, which is a ridiculous thing that we have now. Trailers for trailers.
It's just the tip of the trailer. That's all this. I saw Video Drew make that comment earlier. It was fantastic.
I'm not touching that.
The tip of the trailer.
Again, I'm not touching that. Guys, if I make a weird face, it's because my eyes are like completely dried out. Also,
should I play the soundbite again? Here's the thing. I don't like fart gags. I really don't. But I mean,
you're in control of them.
But when you're in control of a sound, a thing that could play sound clips, I mean,
don't worry, guys. Someday we'll grow up. Today
I feel like I'm actually like regressing now because I'm like, ooh, I could play a fart sound from this.
Today is not the day.
Yeah. Typically don't like them, but whatever. Camshaft asking in chat, when is your birthday, Robert? Remind me. That would be next week. It's Thursday of next week, I believe.
Literally a day. It's 9 days away.
Yeah. So it's the 17th. So I believe that's next Thursday. And we will probably be live streaming that night. So feel free to come back, especially on the 17th, and say happy birthday, if you want to. Dune, the gloves are off. That's funny.
Oh yeah.
So next piece of movie news, other than the Dune, the other like sci-fi space movie that came out roughly around that time is Alien. Ridley Scott wants to bring back the Alien franchise.
Isn't that pretty?
Yeah, I actually really love this. Is one of my favorite like Alien pictures, just because of how the lighting works and everything. It just looks so cool.
Sure.
But yeah, Ridley Scott's talking about wanting to bring it back. But now that the Alien movies are owned by Disney, supposedly Disney has no real interest in bringing this back.
That's ridiculous.
But like, there's definitely some more stories they could tell. I know Ridley Scott again was wanting to bring this back, but kind of like go away from what he released already as far as Prometheus and Covenant.
Oh, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, well, Prometheus had a good shot. There was a couple of things about it I didn't like.
It had writing and acting and.
Yeah, especially if you're a fan of CinemaSins, Prometheus was really good at creating the running joke, the literal running joke of the Prometheus school of running away from things when she's trying to run away from the ship that's about to collapse, and all she has to do is just turn left or right.
A joke about running.
Yeah, it's a running joke about running. So that was probably like one of the major things I just really could not stand about Prometheus.
So
Covenant. Oh,
hard pass.
Yeah.
So Alien is coming back.
Ridley Scott wants to bring it back and just to focus more on like the other stories.
Ridley Scott like 89 years old.
I don't know. I didn't do the research before we did that.
He's in his
before
80s.
we did this show.
He's in his 80s.
I mean, he's still a really good storyteller. So I would be kind of interested to see like what he could potentially tell a story about.
I say that
if you get away from that weird origin tangent that he was going on with Prometheus and Covenant.
I say that, but it's like super ageist because people in their 80s can still be really good. I mean, look at Clint Eastwood. He's still kicking it.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, give or take some of his more recent movies or whatnot, but oh yeah, dude was born in 1937. So, I mean, when directors and whatnot start getting up there and they're like, I want to bring back my old project, I'm like, okay. Maybe oversee it and have somebody else take the reins. Maybe be like in a producerial role. I mean, that's what Spielberg is doing with was James Mangold taking over the Indiana Jones?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what's happening there. I mean, Steven Spielberg I don't think is in his 80s, but I mean, he's still overseeing and not quite in the actual director seat, so
I know a couple of years ago, roughly like around the time like Covenant was coming out, there was talks of Neil Blomkamp.
That's not a bad choice.
Going and trying to revive it. But one of the stories that he was wanting to go with was like taking place right after Alien. So it would essentially erase Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. And it would further what happened with Ripley, Newt, and Hicks after they escaped at the end of Aliens.
Yeah.
Like there was drawings made up of how like they could look and stuff, and it sounded fantastic. Like I was really interested in seeing that, because the problem with Aliens is then you go on to Alien 3, which really isn't that bad of a movie, but like the very first thing in Aliens 3 is, oh yeah, Newton Hicks died. Okay.
Cool.
So, like, I am kind of interested in if they could flesh out a story with those characters outside of just the first sequel.
Well, I mean, we'll have to see.
So that would be interesting if they could do something like that. But yeah, like
Especially
we're saying,
the Disney era.
Yeah, if they could hand over the rings, rings.
I said reins.
Yeah, hand the reins over to someone else who could potentially handle that.
Here's the thing: 20th Century Studios is still exists, so there's no excuse to not do anything with the Alien franchise outside of maybe you just shouldn't anymore. If you want to, there's no reason not to. I mean, it's not like you have to do it underneath the Disney label. That's why 20th Century Studios still exists. And that's why I still would actually like to see a Deadpool 3 that's kind of kept at arm's length away from the MCU, and he knows about it too. That's a whole nother subject. That's for another day, but...
Going into chat real quick. So Cam Chef was saying that hers was yesterday. Well,
happy birthday, Cam.
Happy birthday, Cam Chef. Garth is asking what actual age I turn. We won't talk about that.
30 old.
Yeah.
Let's just say this: he can't be any more older in his 30s without being another decade completely.
Thanks for giving that away.
It's much easier just to say 39.
Oh, whatever. I will never actually testify to my current age, because I still get people like that think I'm like 27 or so, and I'm like,
there's some people that would tell you to quit whining.
I'm not whining. I'm just not talking about it. Box office numbers. We actually have some more box office numbers this time.
I want to run through these as decently quickly as possible, because I know we gotta hit those 2 reviews before the time is up here. But let's bring up the 2 that we talked about last week, which was New Mutants and Tenet. Not a whole lot to talk about New Mutants, honestly, because we're sitting at it's still opened at that 7 million range. It's now reached up domestically to about 12 million, a little over 12 million, which again, under normal circumstances, would be considered a complete and utter flop.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they really want to consider it that, given the whole pandemic situation. Worldwide, it's sitting at a little over 21 million. So, I mean, I don't know what the actual budget for that movie was, but I know that's nowhere near it.
But again, we're back in the position where this was a movie that was acquired by Disney. So essentially, Disney, outside of a little bit of marketing, really didn't spend any of their own money on this movie, with the exception of acquiring 20th Century Fox to begin with.
Yeah.
So for the most part, they're all pure profit on this, which is fantastic for them, because that's just an immediate turnaround of some money coming back.
Yeah, but it's much less than you would have wanted to make off of that.
Yeah.
But that situation is what it is. On the flip side, you've got Tenet, which now has domestic numbers. Last week it didn't, because it didn't have its official release yet until this last weekend.
Yep.
It hit domestic numbers of 20,200,000.
20 million?
So it opened up the United States to 20 million, which, again, you look at Tenet in a world that doesn't have a pandemic. That movie's opening domestically at least to 60, 70 million. At least. But last week worldwide, it was sitting at about 53 million. That's without opening here in the United States officially yet. Now it's sitting at 152 million worldwide. So it's gonna do pretty well given the circumstances. It's definitely going to have some legs, because there's not a whole lot of competition coming out at the moment. A couple big movies that are still slated for release, but for the most part, I mean, it's two of its biggest pieces of competition, which would have been Bill and Ted and Mulan, came out in home streaming, so they're not really direct competition, so to speak. for the theatrical experience, unless you're, of course, counting for the fact that there are some places where its theaters just aren't open, in which case then Tenet's not even on the board.
Yeah, keep in mind that like you definitely have areas like LA, New York, Chicago maybe are the theaters definitely are not open yet. Or they may have just recently opened.
Some theaters in California are starting to open. Some theaters. I don't think in LA, but
yeah, like we saw a lot of critics from LA. They're all hightailing it out to Las Vegas because apparently that's the closest open movie theaters is out in Vegas, which I don't know. I don't know how far Vegas is from LA, but that's a huge drive to go out there just to go see a movie.
It's still a few hours.
Yeah, I know, like, for Tenet, we were planning on seeing it at one movie theater because it would be close to, like, where I was going to be at that time, and then I wasn't going to be there anymore, so we quickly, like, refunded those tickets and bought it at the theater that we typically go to closer to us here.
The only theater right now that I really feel
yeah, and that was part of the main reason, but yeah, we also didn't want to go driving across town for that. So
and it's also because when we saw the movie, there was only like maybe 15 other people in the room, and that room's built for like 200. So
yeah, it was a big theater, but that's impressive that they're still able to pull in. Now, I could have sworn for Tenet, I thought I read something that it's going to have to pull in like 500,000 or 500 million or something like that
if you want to count marketing
to break even.
If you want to count marketing, it's got to pull in towards like 800 million, which I don't think you're going to see that. They're going to have to keep it in theaters for quite a long time for it to,
and it's not going to hit that.
And the only keeping in mind still that there are just some theaters that aren't open yet, so there are some specific markets where it just hasn't hit yet, and so it could have a very slow rollout over a long life if WB decides, hey, let's go ahead and just keep this bad boy in the theater for 4 or 5 months, and we'll see from there. And I think that's theoretically possible, considering that a lot of movies got pushed to next year, and you're going to want to fill the box office with something until movies can start rolling out at a consistent pace once again, like normal. I think that makes full and complete sense. If I were them, I would definitely keep it in theater for as long as possible, just to try to get as close as possible to the amount of money that you have to make for it. But yeah, sitting at 20 million domestically right now is definitely a very low number. It's not what you want to open it up to, especially considering that the opening for that movie is essentially like a 10-day opening, more or less, from like preview screenings plus the Labor Day weekend and everything. So it'll be interesting to track that one and see how it's going. I know Garth in the comments was saying that Dan Merle's so excited to be talking about box office numbers again. Here's the thing, I do want to see. I haven't seen his latest episode of Charting yet. I definitely want to check it out because I know he gets really in depth on some of the numbers, what these movies have to make back in order for the studio to consider them financial successes and all that stuff. So I'm kind of interested, especially because this is such a unique situation with movies and everything right now, that seeing how they come back and reappear in movie theaters and how that affects box office and everything, it's just a fascinating thing to take a look at right now, even if you're not really full on deep into like the whole number side of things.
Yeah.
So outside of those two, real quick before we move on, there's obviously a couple other movies that we now have. I mean, we now have Bill and Ted Face the Music,
which is playing in some theaters, but it also is on video on demand.
Yeah, I don't think I have streaming numbers for that. Yeah, no, I don't have streaming numbers for that. I'm just looking at box office specifically. So, I mean, keeping in mind that it is available for home viewing, like we watched it here. We didn't go to a theater for this one. There's going to be a lot of people who are watching it at home. They're not going to a theater. So I mean, that's why the domestic and worldwide on it right now are pretty close. Worldwide's 2,500,000. Domestic 2,300,000. So it's not too high. It's what you would expect for a movie that just simultaneously opened for home release as well. Keeping in mind though that that home release is still about a $20 buy-in. So you're still roughly, for most theaters, still spending about the same amount for the home release that you would going to see it in a theater. So I ultimately expect that movie is going to make most of its money back, not necessarily from theatrical viewing, but at least from home streaming as well. Keeping in mind, too, again, that, you know, a lot of people could be purchasing it and then still having like their friends, their family,
invite the whole neighborhood over. Let's all watch Bill and Ted all at once.
Yeah, well, maybe not like that, but I mean, you have situations where you have a large family, or you have like you live with roommates, you have friends that you feel safe being around right now, and everyone's okay with coming over, and you're ultimately spending $20 on a movie that you would otherwise, as a group, have spent way more on.
Yeah,
that's gonna hurt it. I mean, that's kind of the deal with these home streams. So
I know for us, typically when like for New Mutants and Tenet, when I bought the tickets for those, it still cost the two of us like $30.
Yeah.
So that $25 was actually saving us just a little. But then also take into account how much money do we spend on food and drinks while we're at the theater. So
yeah.
That could still be factored into that.
Garth brought up that Tenet could make more once it goes to a streaming service for a $30 pay-per-view, and that's the case too. I think at some point they might keep it in theaters for a while, but I think at some point, now that it has played in theaters for a little bit, or when it gets to the point that it's played in theaters for a little bit, then it's going, hey, Nolan, can we release it on home streaming now? Do you feel satisfied that enough people have seen it in the theater? In which case, I don't necessarily know if that's really up to him at that point anymore. It's not that really any of this ever really truly was up to him. I know he created it. He spent years writing the story, then making the movie and everything. And so he wanted to have as much creative control over as far as audiences seeing it goes. But ultimately, I think at some point if WB is like, hey, we just want to get this out there, he's going to have to agree to it.
So same thing. Garth is bringing up the like we've heard that there's very strong rumors that Patty Jenkins wants to push Wonder Woman 84 to next year as well, just because. Again, looking at Tenet's numbers, and Tenet is a property that only exists and is only like as massive as a movie is because of the director. Christopher Nolan has earned the ability to have people flock to the movie theater just because it's his movie he directed. Yeah. Patty Jenkins, I would say, especially in the Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins has earned that right in that specific genre type of movie. But Wonder Woman is a very well-known IP to begin with, so simply put, the Wonder Woman IP is what's going to cause people to flock to the theaters, not necessarily 100% a movie directed by Patty Jenkins yet.
Here's the thing. I would love to see Wonder Woman this year. I really would, because I was looking forward to that one. Mm-hmm. That first trailer was just, like, fantastic.
The last one was fantastic.
The last one was good, too. The last one was definitely good, too. But that first trailer got me like, all right, I'm into it. Let's do it. But if we have to wait till next year, I completely understand that. And
I'm having to wait for the Fast and Furious 9. So, I mean, that one was changed. Like, that was the one where they released the tickets. You could buy the tickets like 2 or 3 months in advance. I bought the tickets that 3 months in advance. And then it was like within like not even a month later, like, oh yeah, we're just going to push it to a whole nother year. I'm like, okay.
Which, I mean, they had the foresight. It is the right call to push it to next year, because was it by February, March, April this next year? By that point, I mean, not to dive too deep into the actual current real world events, but there's news and they're talking about vaccines and stuff as early as October to December, what have you, whatever the news actually specifically says about that. Then you're looking at like, hey, maybe by March we actually might be good for the majority of us to feel comfortable going out into the public again, because people who really need the vaccines will hopefully have access to it by that time. Hopefully.
Either way, I would like to say that if we could get rid of this stupid virus by the end of this year, that would be 100%
excellent.
Anyways, moving on to movie reviews, because that's why most people probably clicked on this.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't have any box office numbers for Mulan because it wasn't released into theaters.
Yeah.
Domestically, anyway. I don't know if it was worldwide.
Garth says, careful hitting the F9 key at the top of your keyboard. It'll shift your calendar appointments to 2021. If only.
I love that joke.
So
That's great.
yeah. First, right off the bat, let's dive into Bill and Ted.
I like watching this.
Yeah. Bill and Ted. So they made a third one of these.
Cool.
They've had talks of this for years. Yeah, like Keanu Reeves has been wanting to do this for quite a while.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then they actually made it. Here's the thing. When you're talking about a franchise that was very tongue-in-cheek when it was first released back in the 80s, early 90s, those two films were just cheesy, corny goodness.
They were
all
dumb.
kinds of like taco toppings.
They were dumb.
They were dumb, but they were good dumb. Like, I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Especially, here's the thing. After the years, Bogus Journey has even grown on me. When I first saw that, like, I remember seeing the first trailer for it and seeing, like, was it Death's foot is in Bill's face while they're playing Twister, and I was like, this looks so stupid.
The whole game montage.
This just looks so bad.
You sank my battleship.
But that movie has grown on me since then, and it's actually a really decent movie.
Excellent Adventure is definitely the better of the two.
Oh yeah. Sure. So when they said they made this third one, I was like, really? Do you really want to make a third one? Like, I like the characters. I like the original two movies now, but
because you got to keep in mind, those movies are definitely products of their time period.
Oh yeah,
not
especially in a couple of things.
Yeah, I was like, not that necessarily like the rules of how that time period and all that, but just more so like the characterizations, how they appear, how they were filmed, how they were shot.
There's definitely some slurs that they say in those movies that do not hold up nowadays.
That is true. I forgot about that. Yeah. That is definitely true.
So watching this one, it was given the fact, like, we know George Carlin's not alive, so unfortunately Rufus doesn't have anything to do with this, and we're not going to spoil anything if y'all haven't watched it, but given, like, now we're supposed to still be able to acknowledge this, and like, it was good. I would say overall,
I don't know what you were struggling.
I don't know.
with
Like, well, here's the thing. I'm trying to also like shrink this down because we got about 15 minutes before we got to end the tagline tonight. So
That's true.
I'm trying to quickly get through it and get words. And you know me and words. I'm much better at watching movies than I am at words. Anyways, I thought the movie was really good. Like, again, this was a movie that was just kind of like really cheesy and corny back then, and it's been decades since anyone's revisited it.
Yeah.
You would automatically think, yeah, this is going to be terrible. Like, whatever. Just, okay, make your movie if you want to, and then that's it. It was really good. The story was fantastic.
And that's the thing. Like, you said this about New Mutants, about as far as movies being better than they have any right to be.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a movie franchise where it had its two originals, like back in the 80s and what have you, and now we're supposed to fast forward almost 30 years later, whatever the actual decade period is, and we're supposed to accept that there's a new movie coming out, supposed to be just as good, we're supposed to enjoy it and everything, and in most scenarios like that, where Hollywood dives back into an old franchise of old, tries to bring it back and breathe new life into it, resuscitate it, what have you, is usually not very good. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. These things usually don't end up doing pretty well.
Episode 1.
Nah, hold on now. The prequels have gotten better, especially if you watch the sequels. Anyway, so yeah, these things typically don't do pretty well. So for the fact that this movie was as heartwarming and as absolutely charming as it was, and like they did such a fantastic job carrying the flavor of the 80s over into this new one, that it was just a fun time. It was just a really, really fun time. It was not that densely packed. It's about as thin as a Bill and Ted movie gets. At the same time, though, it was also convoluted a little bit in terms of like, how's this time traveling working, and what are the rules of time and everything in this movie?
Because we don't have Smart Hulk to come over here and tell us this one. We don't even have Rufus, so I mean.
It's definitely not following Back to the Future's time, but it's also, I think Bill and Ted time is its own cinematic time. It's its own thing. It's definitely not Christopher Nolan time. So anyway, the point is, for this movie to be as good as it was is honestly a complete surprise. And I would say that if you have the $20 to spare to watch it on streaming, I would absolutely 100% recommend it if you haven't already dropped the cash on it. Typically we do like a ranking system, but we don't have like special graphics and everything for that. So it's a very high recommend out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, very much enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
The way they brought back like some of the things from old and kind of made them current and everything was
I forgot to put up the look, I got a graphic for it too. Bill and Ted, that's what we're talking about.
Oh, and their daughters are just complete highlights.
The daughters are like almost everyone in there. That robot, the robot was so good.
Yeah, he was actually a really good character. Anyway, check it out. Watch the movie. It's fantastic. It's just a delight. Mulan.
Moving on to Mulan.
Mulan.
Yeah. So this was a movie, unfortunately, it was only released on Disney Plus for that $30 bump up. Yeah. This is a movie that definitely, as far as looks go, this movie needed to have been in a theater.
Yeah.
Like when the movie first opens up, those of y'all have watched it, or if you haven't seen it, again, no spoilers, but when the movie first opens, it opens to the camera panning around her village. Like the village is just like one giant circular building, and that all the families in that village all like have little apartments.
And real quick, guys, any questions, any comments you have, send them in the Streamlabs, send them in the comment section, because once we're done with this review, we're probably going to be quick to wrap up here. So
yep. So the first shot is a sweeping shot of this building, of this village, and the way the camera lens is angled on it, you do see the curvature of that building coming. It looks perfect for a movie theater screen. It would look amazing. That the cinematography of that shot would look so good on a movie theater screen.
Yeah.
On a computer screen that we're watching in your bedroom, not so much. I mean, it's enough to where I could recognize, hey, that would look so much better on a big screen. But
I really wish we had a projector and a wall to project on.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that you have the avalanche in there. From like the cartoon had the avalanche. There's the avalanche in this one as well. Yeah. The same kind of thing. When you see a giant avalanche, you want to see that like on a big screen and stuff. And we just didn't get that. There's a lot of cinematography of this movie that deserves to be on the big screen.
100%. Yeah. It's definitely, I'd still say it's worth seeing. Here's the thing. There's a lot of like controversy and stuff around it. Partly like the controversy that's happening in China over it. I really don't have enough to like go off of on that, so it's not really something that
there's a whole thing about the democracy in China.
Yeah, it's not really anything that we can speak on, so I wasn't really going to go into details of what exactly it was, but okay. Also, there's the side of it that we're looking at from this perspective of it's supposed to be a very serious take on the story, on the character. You don't have the comedic elements like Mushu in it. You don't have the cute little cricket running around.
Cricky.
Yeah, you don't have this. You don't have these.
You don't have the songs.
You don't have the song. Although they did in the background, you heard some of the music that was in the original Mulan playing in the background. Just no lyrics. It's just
as an instrumental,
over the scene.
Which that was done very well.
Yeah,
especially when they're doing her makeup for the matchmaker at the beginning, and you hear that song playing, and
It'll Bring Honor to Us All. Yeah, I could easily pick that out. That song was playing in the background, so that was pretty cool. But the fact that you don't have like the really fun cartoonish elements that were present in the cartoon.
Well said.
Exactly. How they didn't substituted them though for other supernatural elements in this movie that honestly, like, after having thought about it, I take some of the same opinion that a lot of people have on this, which is I would have rather had Mushu honestly than some of the elements that they did choose to stick in the movie.
Yeah.
And I understand why they did it, because the elements that they did put in there brought a more serious tone to it.
Yeah, I mean, you had the Phoenix that was flying in and out. Really didn't do anything except just fly around like you see in the trailers. But, I mean, you could have, like, made that instead of a Phoenix. Could have been, like, a flying dragon, and that would have been a nice nod to Mushu.
It still could have, like, flown around in the background, done nothing except in the very end, maybe said something funny or sarcastic at the very end or something. Like, even that would have probably been a little bit better. That being said, the movie itself, as far as a take on Mulan, understanding that it is
more of a take of the actual story instead of the cartoon.
I would say it's specifically a different take on Mulan than the cartoon was. Not necessarily a complete remake, but more so just a new version of that story. There's definitely elements and scenes within the movie that are definitely taken from the cartoon, probably both of which took from the original tale of Mulan and everything, but for being its own take on it, I thought it was actually enjoyable. It's definitely, for me, it's definitely in the upper echelon of the Disney remakes, which is not saying a whole lot because I haven't seen Cinderella yet, and Jungle Book is definitely up there, and Aladdin was okay. Lion King was, and I haven't seen Dumbo, and I'm not going to.
Pass on Dumbo. I enjoyed it as well. I appreciate some of the changes that they made.
Like the action was fun.
The action was good. But in so much of the changes that they made to keep it more aligned with the original story and not so much the animated, that I thought was really well done. I liked how they kind of played up like in the cartoon. Unfortunately, it was a cartoon made for kids. You really couldn't do too much of the whole like, oh, but she's a girl in a guy's army, so we can't have her like bathing the same time as them. They played up a lot more of the jokes of that, in that like she's strapping herself down and that she absolutely refuses to shower type of thing.
It's not. Some of that was humorous, but most of it's not really jokes, whereas it's a serious take on it. I appreciated that, and I know that it was because of stuff like that kind of helped elevate this one to like a PG-13. That and the action, violence, some of the stuff like that. The people getting stabbed in the heart kind of a thing.
The one thing I do like is that I feel like, first of all, this one, the entire cast was Chinese.
Yeah,
they actually got a full-on Chinese cast. There was no whitewashing in this, so I thought that was fantastic. And also going back to the fact that they kept some of this to the actual story elements of the original Mulan story. Yeah. In so much of like the original cartoon, they called her Fa Mulan, in which like the family's name. And those of y'all, if you're familiar with like Chinese cultural naming, typically you say the family's name, the last name first, and then the first name, or like the way the names turn out. So in this one, like
family name, individual name.
Yeah, in this one, like say they changed her to the actual family name of Hua, H-U-A, Hua Mulan.
Like I'd be Adams Chris.
Yes. Well, so I mean. The thing is also is her name is Hua Mulan. So like Mulan is Mulan is actually two separate names. But we over here in America like to call it Mulan.
Her name is actually Lon.
Yeah, her name is Lon. Harris? No. So one of the things, and I'm really surprised that this has not caught on. I tweeted it out about it. It looked like it was doing pretty well in the tweet. And I know you super chatted it in SCN, and it just got like trampled by a schmobot earlier.
Well, no, they still fully read it.
Yeah, but I mean, the schmobot interrupted, so it kind of
they kind of buried it and commented on it. It's okay.
But
happens.
The essentially there is no Mushu in this, but what Disney did is they actually made it the sister. There's no sister in the original cartoon either. Yep. So they made the sister, which her name is Xiu, X-I-U, pronounced Xiu. Yep. So if you're following the family's naming scheme, it's Hua Mu Xiu. Her name is Mushu. And no one, I've searched the internet. No one's caught on this. And
It's
so
it's a fun little Easter egg.
it's a fun Easter
really
egg,
well
and
done.
I'm really impressed that Disney did that, and no one's caught it yet.
It's impressive. At the same time, I probably would have preferred just to have Mushu in the movie.
I mean, yeah, true, but I like the fact that it was done in such a way to touch upon like the cultural of the name of it.
Ultimately, though, like we're talking about this movie as a whole, I think the cast in the movie was great. I know that a lot of people were wanting a little bit more from the character of Mulan. Like there wasn't enough characterization for her. Or some of the choices that they made for her were kind of interesting.
They didn't cut her hair, but I read something about why they didn't do it, and it kind of made sense.
Donnie Yen and Jet Li being in the movie were great, but both kind of underutilized a little bit, and that's definitely true. I know a lot of people are saying that too.
Jet Li was almost unrecognizable.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was Jet Li until like we were sitting there watching it. And I was like, "Where's Jet Li at?" And you're like, "He's already appeared." And I'm
Yeah, he was the emperor.
Like, what? That was Jet Li?
There was also what's his name? Is it Jason Scott Lee?
Yeah.
Was
Oricon.
Yeah. Which he was well known for playing Bruce Lee in Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Yeah, I thought his character was really well. He got ripped for that.
Yeah.
He got huge for that role. For a second, I didn't even recognize him in that.
Yeah.
So,
For the most part, though, like I don't know if you're like a huge, and we'll kind of wrap up the review here. If you're a huge Mulan fanatic, if you really enjoyed the original and you are really, really looking forward to this new one, drop the 30 on Disney Plus. Go ahead and watch it.
yeah.
If it's one that you definitely you feel like, you know what, I could wait. I could still wait a few months. Definitely wait till December because that's when they'll be releasing it generally on Disney Plus where you don't have to pay the 30.
If you're not running a movie YouTube channel in which you have to speak about these movies the second they're physically able to be spoken upon,
Right?
just wait till December.
Yeah. Honestly, and that's the truth. If you're down for the Mulan, you want to watch the Mulan right now.
Down for the Mulan. That sounds
Yeah.
like a rock song.
No.
Get down for
No,
the
no,
Mulan.
stop. That joke's going nowhere. Yeah, if you really want to watch Mulan, you're really into it, drop the 30. If not, wait till December.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. You won't have to spend that extra money. You won't feel there's not the possibility of, I feel cheated because it's another Disney remake that I wasn't really thrilled about. Nah. Watch it in December, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a decent movie. It is definitely in the upper echelon of live action Disney movies. It's just unfortunately
I'm still waiting for Atlantis, honestly. I think Atlantis has the potential to be the best live action Disney movie.
Yeah. The number one thing I also really like about this movie wasn't necessarily the movie itself, but this movie was premiered right before all the theaters shut down.
Yeah, so
The critics have been sitting on their reviews because of the embargo.
Longest embargo ever.
Yeah. So, yeah, that I think is really impressive, and good on like all the critics that had that access to see it way back when, in the before times.
Yeah.
And now only just now releasing their reviews of it. They're like, so Mulan. I completely forgot about that movie.
Yeah, I had to watch it again. I want to highlight some of it because Garth just went to town on some of these. They were actually pretty funny.
No, Matt Damon.
What was it? Oh, they could have had the Phoenix take over Mulan and turn her evil, and then she kills a friend. And oh no, never mind. Hey, remember that movie?
New Mutants was still better.
Ooh.
New Mutants was way better than that movie. Oh.
Yeah. So Moolah for Mulan, if you really can't wait. That's true. Anyway, that's our comprehensive deep dive reviews over these two movies. Both get a recommend, though. Mulan definitely, again, like I said, if you want to wait, if you can wait, if you don't really need to see it right now, go ahead and wait.
Yeah. Bill and Ted was really good, though.
Bill and Ted, you absolutely should. I mean, if you saw the first two, for sure. And that's the other thing with Bill and Ted is that it connected all three. Like, all three were super connected, and they did a fantastic job carrying that storyline all the way through. It was just great.
Yeah.
Definitely dropped the money on that.
Anyways, so that's going to do it for Tagline tonight. Again, while we're doing the Movie Trivia the Schmodown replay, 4 times a week, we're having to condense the the tagline here. Eventually, we want to go back to say an hour and a half. Add in a little more audience participation with the people in the chat. Maybe add some games to this. So we will be expanding on this as soon as Christian Harloff will allow us to. Not complaining at all, Christian. Not that you're watching this. But absolutely eager to be able to move on and to expand our content eventually. So also keep in mind, again, we will be doing the trailer reaction for Dune tomorrow night. So make sure you are liking, commenting, subscribing to this channel. Let's go ahead and what are we going to do? Anyways. That's it, guys, for the replay, or for the tagline. Replay is what we're about to do. We're going to go over there and to do the replay here in a few minutes. So make sure you continue following us on this. Make sure you join our Patreon, like, comment, subscribe. As for my brother, as for me, we will see you here in a little while. Hopefully, come back and join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We will see you later, and good night.
You're an awkward human being.
I absolutely am. Thanks, Lola.